Hey guys, before we get into the behemoth that is the story of God of War Ragnarok, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you know whenever I upload the story summary. Without further ado, let's go. 2 winters following the events of 2018's Game of the Year, father and son Kratos and Atreus are training, preparing for Ragnarok. Returning from a hunt, they fend off an attack from a vengeful Freya. As they get home, however, one of their wolves, Fenrir, passes on as Atreus performs a Jotnar spell in the process, as Kratos and Mimir leave him to grieve. Upon falling asleep, Kratos has visions of Faye, his deceased wife, as she tells him time is running out, to which he wonders what she means. As he awakens, Atreus is missing, so the duo Kratos and Mimir embark on their search for him. They locate him having turned into a bear in his anger over Fenrir's death. Kratos takes this as an opportunity to say that this is why they mustn't abandon his training, but this is where their opinions differ. Atreus wants to go looking for answers about the giants, about Loki, about who he's supposed to be. As they get back home, they are greeted by a couple of guests for that matter. The All-Father Odin and his half-giant god of thunder's son, Thor. Naturally, they're not all that happy with the murder of Balder and Thor's sons, Modi and Magni. All Odin claims to want is peace. Peace as long as Atreus puts an end to his search for Tyr, Kratos' Norse counterpart. But first, there's a small matter of blood payment. After a long and savage fight with Kratos and losing a tooth, Thor considers Kratos' blood payment for Balder and his children's death paid and takes his leave. Kratos reunites with Atreus. He tells his father that Odin invited him to Asgard, which he refused. But now that it's been revealed that Atreus has been on the lookout for Tyr, he has some explaining to do. He takes Kratos to a Jotnar shrine which reveals that Odin captured Skoll and Hati, the wolf giants, because he thinks it will help them when Ragnarok starts. Supposedly the giants are meant to free them in Vanaheim. They chase their respective sun and moon until the moon gets stolen. When the moon is retrieved and they chase an arrow, normality is resumed. And another prophecy shows that Tyr leads the armies against Odin, so he's got to be alive, despite Odin claiming he's killed him. That's why he's been searching for the Norse god of war. They head to Svartalheim, the realm of the dwarves, where the shrines claim he's been imprisoned. Brok and Sindri suggest their cousin Durlin could be of help to them. With his aid, they make it to where he's been imprisoned. Despite some reluctance to join them out of his fear of Odin, Tyr joins them. He's not what you'd expect a god of war to be like. He's been so fearful of Odin after the genocidal result of the last rebellion, he's become a pacifist. Despite the reluctance though, the duo convince him to join them at Sindri's place. This is a big win. When they return, Kratos discusses the situation with Mimir in private. He believes Atreus' restlessness could lead to mistakes. Mistakes he seems keen on making. And it seems Tyr is one of them with his lack of interest in leading the fight against the All-Father. But Kratos can't keep him safe forever, as Atreus immediately proves after overhearing this conversation. He and Sindri go after Freya in the hope she'll see reason and join them. They find her with the help of Jormungandr, the World Serpent. Even with the knowledge of Tyr's rescue, she refuses to come like Atreus hoped. She lets him go on account of their past relationship, but vows that she won't give his father the same mercy. They make it back unnoticed. At their family meal, they decide to head to Alfheim, as Groa's murals can give a better inkling as to what is to come in Ragnarok. Supposedly, when seeking out her husband, Groa, the first giant, had a vision of Ragnarok. And when Odin demanded a retelling of the prophecy, she lied to him, after which he felt no remorse in killing her. It shows Tyr leading the fight and taking down Asgard so that other realms can thrive, yet Tyr still refuses to partake. As the Dwarven brothers feed them, they have an argument. Kratos' son is insistent on following what's foretold for Loki, when Kratos insists he's his son and should be Atreus, to not run headfirst into trouble. The boy excuses himself to his room and falls asleep, waking up in Ironwood, the mythical sanctuary for the Jotnar. He makes a new friend there, Angrboda, seemingly the last remaining giant besides him. She and Loki bond over their heritage before she shows him a mural portraying the death of his father in Ragnarok after Loki goes to serve the All-Father. Obviously he doesn't believe any of it. How and why could any of this happen? After spending some more time with his newly made friend and helping her feed her animals, she shows him some marbles containing the souls of the Jotnar. Before Atreus leaves to return to his father, he magically transfers the soul of a Jotnar from a marble to a dead snake. Bear with me, that will come into play later. When he comes back, Kratos is understandably furious. He's putting himself in needless danger without telling his father why. He tells him that he follows him to these murals despite not believing in them because he wants to be there for him, while also keeping him safe. But in Atreus' eyes, him being oblivious to his upcoming death keeps him safe and out of harm's way. Mid-conversation, however, they get attacked by an unfamiliar Valkyrie. It's revealed to be Freya. Ready to slit Kratos' throat, she gets attacked by the out-of-control bare form of Atreus, who Kratos has to tame. He doesn't want her to die. She is, or was, their friend. After this, she decides for the time being to keep him alive, as Kratos can be useful. They travel to Vanaheim to break Odin's spell to bind her to this realm of Midgard. To do so, they destroy the knots of Yggdrasil's roots after they defeat Nidhogg, the protector of Yggdrasil. Having done this together, Freya and Kratos come to a mutual understanding. He tells her that she need not explain her actions to him after Kratos killed her boy. But now she realizes they have a common goal. The real person behind this, Odin. So together they return to Sindri's, not at each other's throats, much to Atreus' surprise. Without getting a chance to ask about what happened there, Atreus and his father get into a huge row. When questioned about whether he went to Asgard while he was gone, he denied it, vehemently. But he doesn't tell him where he actually was. There's no trust or faith there. Although he mentions that he is and was considering visiting Odin, at which point they all verbally came for him, so he left in anger at being ignored. He goes to Freya's place where he gets visited by Odin's ravens who bring Loki to Asgard as he so wished. Loki climbed the enormous wall to get to Odin but was met by a less than trusting Heimdall, Odin's right-hand man, who reluctantly takes him to the Allfather. He explains Heimdall's untrusting nature. It stems from him being able to see the future. He knows Loki plots a betrayal. Although it doesn't take a genius to figure that out, and he won't be doing it anytime soon, so Odin welcomes him with open arms. He even gave him a room, Thor's son Modi's old room, you know, before Kratos and Atreus killed him. His sister Thrud seems pretty okay with it. I know, weird, right? Odin tells Loki what he seeks most: knowledge, answers, the purpose of gods, the truth, how to stop Ragnarok. Obviously they both want that, Odin to save his own skin and Loki to save his father's. Odin wants all fragments of a mask with Jotnar writing on it so he can look into a magical tear that is said to hold infinite knowledge. With Thor, Loki used the one masterpiece they had to try to lead them to another. Loki got Thor preoccupied with something else as he discovered another Jotnar shrine. Angrboda appeared from nowhere as they saw the prophecy together. Sinmara and Sutir, two giants, their love causes the creation of Ragnarok, a deadly creature destined to end Asgard. Before they part ways again, Angrboda mentions that the snake with the giant soul in grew, like a lot, like Jormungandr, wink wink. After retrieving the second masterpiece, Thor and Loki return to Asgard. Meanwhile, Kratos is not going to just sit around and wait for his son to come home from his vacay. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Kratos goes to the Norns for counsel on fate despite not believing in it. They tell him that he is to die, but he ignores that and focuses on the fact that Heimdall plans on killing his son in Asgard. So Kratos has to do what he does best but does not want to do: kill gods. The Dwarven brothers tell Kratos that he needs to overload Heimdall's senses to take him down. So Brock leads him to the lady who provides him with the weapon to do just that with, the Draupnir spear. When leaving the area, they get visited by Odin, who tries his manipulative tactics on Kratos, insisting he wants peace and to break free of fate and prophecy. Actually, he doesn't want to fight Kratos because he fears what is to come when Ragnarok happens, so his tactics of reminding him of who he used to be won't work. That evening, Kratos has another dream, a vision of Faye with baby Atreus. She tells her husband that their son is the future and that he must protect him. After reading the inscriptions, Loki tells Odin that the next fragment is in Helheim. Therefore, he and Thrud, Odin's Valkyrie-to-be granddaughter, travel there along with Heimdall. The kids go after the mask as Heimdall heads off to do his own thing. He's got his own mission. The mask leads them to an imprisoned giant wolf who Loki frees, foolishly. That giant wolf happens to be Garm, a giant wolf who has the ability to create tears between realms, which, as you can imagine, can create anarchy. And of course, Heimdall laps it up as he tells Odin of the stupid mistake made. Odin and Loki have a pretty candid conversation where he says that he wants to go home. Odin doesn't stop him and makes sure he knows that he's welcome back anytime. Of course, that being because he needs him to find the remaining fragments of the mask. Anyway, Atreus returns to Sindri's where they're under attack by Hellwalkers thanks to Garm. After repelling the enemy, Kratos takes his son so they can fix his mistake together. Despite not wanting to, their efforts to calm him down were futile, so they were forced to kill him, or so they they thought. This time, Atreus has a plan and Kratos decides to trust him, so they go with it. You see, Atreus performed that Jotnar spell when Fenrir passed. Well, through conversations with Angrboda, he now believes that the spell transferred Fenrir's soul to his dagger, similar to the giants with the marbles. Therefore, Kratos distracts the beast as Atreus stabs him, transferring Fenrir's soul into Garm. They finally got their pet back, but now it's a giant. After that, Kratos and Atreus have a real heart-to-heart where they truly open up to one another. Kratos has noticed that he's been falling back to his old ways, angry, distrustful. He chased his own son away. Atreus on the other side got reckless without his father. He regrets thinking he could do this on his own. Kratos tells his son that he's grown into a fine warrior. From this, both of them learn to fully trust one another. When Kratos isn't around, Atreus agrees to listen for his voice in his head, and vice versa, allowing them to have a lot more faith in each other's decisions. When they get back to Sindri's, Atreus informs the others of what Odin's truly after. The mask. It's said to be a way to gaze into the secrets of creation itself. Tyr claims that this mask is why Odin tortured him. Regardless, Freya doesn't want to get derailed. She asks if Heimdall is still their momentary target, to which Kratos says no. He doesn't want to be his former vengeful self. So Freya heads back to Vanaheim so she can help her brother Freyr stand against Odin. Kratos and Atreus plan to join her when they can. First, they find Skoll and Hati, the giant wolves who are supposed to be chasing the sun and moon respectively until the beginning of Ragnarok, when they are caught and devoured. Odin had full magical control over them, making him feel like he had full control over Ragnarok, until they were stolen and freed in Vanaheim by two giants. However, they were supposed to be lost, and this explains why. They had been fast asleep as the moon had been stolen. Realization sinks into Atreus that that's what Heimdall was up to while they were in Helheim. Regardless, they recover it and take it to the wolf so they can both continue their seemingly eternal chase. They then find Freya, who they follow, so they can try to save her brother. He's been captured by the Einherjar, Odin's warriors from Valhalla. In trying to do so, however, they get intercepted by an enthusiastic Heimdall. Kratos gets Freya to go after her brother while he holds off their adversary. In spite of his reluctance to do so, Heimdall, constantly egging him on by mentioning his son, forced Kratos into brutalizing him. After weakening Odin's camp, Kratos joins the others as they get Freya back to Sindri's. Atreus consults his comrades about the idea of rejoining Odin for the moment, to be their eyes on the inside. They all agree, including Kratos, as long as he remembers their promise, to listen out for Kratos' voice in his head. But Sindri, fortunately, doesn't let him leave without an emergency exit plan. Before heading to Asgard, he asks Angrboda to look after Fenrir while he's gone, with her being such an animal lover. When back in Asgard, Loki fits into life there like he never left. They immediately resume the search to complete the mask. He and a drunk Thor head to Niflheim under Odin's orders. He's been drinking as a result of his father's mistreatment of him, and even with Thrud and his missus Sif trying to help him, he refuses it. He's being used by his father for his strength. The massacre of the giants, going against Kratos, he gives his all for him, but Odin neglects him. He undermines his emotions over the death of his sons, and yet he gets Loki to the next masterpiece. When they get to it, Sif manipulates Thor into attacking Loki to supposedly protect Thrud. Luckily, Sindri's magical getaway worked. Poor Thrud has been manipulated by her grandfather into thinking that he's capable of no evil and that what's getting to his father is solely absurdly high expectations he's set on him. The family's broken and that's what they can pounce on. The mask in Atreus' clutches, Tyr's much more pro-war all of a sudden, and surprisingly no one's suspicious except Brock. The suspicion gets to Tyr as he fatally stabs him, revealing him to have been Odin in disguise all along, as the Allfather flees with the mask firmly in his grasp. The emotion of his brother's death overwhelms Sindri, not just because he's passed, but because of a selfish decision Sindri's made in the past. When Brock died previously, Sindri revived him, but not with all parts of his soul intact, meaning when he does die, he doesn't get an afterlife. Sindri's fuming at himself, at Atreus, at everyone for the tragedy that took place. He's no longer the comedic relief germaphobe that he once was. Now the crew rally the realms to take the fight to Odin, as Kratos and Atreus go to unleash Ragnarok. They get Surtur to agree to become Ragnarok, but not by joining with Sinmara, through the help of the Blades of Chaos. This way he gets to protect his love. During the process, however, they get attacked by Hrist and Mist, two of Odin's Valkyries, but the duo have experience with their kind and eliminate them before reuniting with their allies. Freya even even recruited some of the powerful Valkyries like Sigrun, being that she was once their queen. And before turning in for the night, Freya has a massive request for Kratos, to be the general and lead them to war. He says he'll sleep on it. As he and Atreus go to sleep in their tent, coincidentally he has yet another dream vision of Faye. We see her preparing Kratos for when her time comes, and the aftermath of her death, seeing that she's mortal. The funeral pyre and the spreading of her ashes as we saw 2 years prior. She tells her husband that the culmination of love is grief. To grieve deeply is to have loved fully. She asks him to open his heart to the world as he did to her, as he will find every reason to keep living in it. This motivates him to accept Freya's request and lead them to battle. He gives an inspirational speech to his people before they head to Asgard. The War Machines are trying to attack the Realm Towers to shut out Ragnarok. As they were fighting their way to the War Machines, Angrboda pops up, ready to help out. Kratos does his thing and takes down large beasts as per usual as they witness Thor facing Jormungandr in the distance. Sindri finally joins them, just without the other dwarves, because he doesn't want any more of his kind to die. Not for this fight. It's a good thing he arrived because Odin forced dwarves to build the war machines so he can destroy them. And thus the cards all begin to fall in place as Ragnarok begins to wreak havoc on Asgard. Sindri demolishes the war machines as they see innocent defenseless Midgardians taken in by Odin in danger's way. Odin put them there so they can die. After all, wars are won by those willing to sacrifice everything. That's what Atreus said. But no. That's not what his mother would have wanted. Kratos tells him to open his heart as that's who he is. The general tells his army to not harm the innocent as they go to try to breach the wall. After all, they're after justice, not vengeance. The others try to slow Ragnarok and get the innocent to safety as Kratos, Atreus and Sindri target the wall. Kratos gets separated from Atreus as he does some very powerful attacks to escort Sindri to the wall where they get confronted by Thrud about trying to kill all of the Asgardians by bringing Ragnarok to their doorstep. In response, he tells her that it was a mistake and their intent is only to take out Odin. When he tells her that Odin's willing to sacrifice the Midgardians to deter them, she didn't believe him until Sif, her mother, vouched for him. Sif tells Thrud that she'll make a great Valkyrie one day, but not for Odin. This way they can have their family back, a proper one. So Thrud joins the others to try to get Thor on side. As soon as Kratos reunites with them, he's cool with Thrud, in spite of knowing who her father is. Remember, he fully trusts his son, and he calls her a friend, so that's that. Once Thor disposes of Jormungandr, he comes for Kratos. The two repeatedly trade deadly blows, after which Kratos overwhelms him. But when Kratos refuses to kill him, Thor's confused, given what he's done in the past, and insists that destroyers like them don't change. Kratos doubles down, however, and reiterates that this bloodshed must end for the sake of their children. With Thor starting to agree with him, Odin appears, furious, instructing him to kill Kratos. When Thor says that Sif was right about the Allfather, Odin stabs his own son, killing him in front of his granddaughter. Thrud gets blasted away as Freya joins the show, ready to exact her justice. After a serious pounding on both sides, a conversation ensues regarding the mask. This is it. Kratos trusts him to make the right call. He breaks it, causing the fight to resume. Using some teamwork, their combo moves enable them to come out on top. Then Loki traps Odin's soul in a marble as Kratos hands it to Freya. But she can't do it. She can't destroy it. She got her justice. As she hands it back to Atreus, a vengeful Sindri storms in, snatching it off him and putting an end to the Allfather once and for all. With Freyja saving the day, the others were able to escape Ragnarok thanks to Angrboda's Jotnar magic. After recovering from the battle, Atreus tells his father that he's been having visions of other remaining giants and that he wants to go searching for them. Alone. This is his journey, not Kratos's. The two fully trust each other and they embrace as they are both ready for the next phase of their life. After all, as Kratos says, Loki, he goes to look for the giants, but Atreus, he stays here with him, in his heart. Kratos sheds a tear as he watches his son head off on his next adventure. Angrboda led Kratos to a shrine which showed he was always meant to lead the war against Odin. It was prophesied all along. He starts sobbing in delight as he knew Faye hid this from them, so they can forge their own destiny for themselves. The game ends after Brock's funeral with Sindri still rageful, miserable and hurting a lot. And with Kratos, Mimir and Freya looking to have formed a group of their own, who knows what's in store for the next God of War? Kratos? Atreus? Your guess is as good as mine. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoyed the video, comment your thoughts and subscribe for more story summaries from me. See ya!